All right, so today we are going to be talking about milestones. And if you watched the video that we just released last week, we talked about these different skills that you need as you disciple somebody else. Just a quick review: fishing is our ability to look around us and develop relationships with people so that we can then engage them in a discipleship relationship. Qualify is about recognizing who will be receptive to that discipleship relationship. Birth is when we encounter people who are not Christ followers yet, is helping them to come into a new relationship with God. Milestones, which we're going to be expanding on today, is teaching that person what they need to know to then multiply. Habits is about recognizing the disciplines that person has in their life that help them grow with Christ. And finally, releasing is all about letting them go to go on and be disciple makers. So we're going to talk about two levels of milestones today. The first one, the first one is these skills, knowing how to teach these skills to somebody else and recognizing when they have actually learned these skills enough that you don't have to spend any more time on them. The second one are some milestones that are really exciting. I'll share those with you in just a moment. So here's this first set. I have this tool here called the multiplication skills checklist. All right, you can find this on our website, which I will provide a link for in this video. What the multiplication skills checklist does, it takes each of these skills right here and it breaks them down into some sub skills. So for instance, when we talk about fishing, there are a couple of things that you need to be able to do as you fish. The first is you need to be able to, one, create ponds. That's a sub skill. Two, you need to be able to fill ponds with different names. Three, you need to be able to grow ponds. That means find new ponds in the world around you. So, these are just three sub skills for the multiplication skill of fish. Now, when I'm teaching somebody else how to fish, what I need to make sure is that, one, they have seen me do these things. Two, that they can do these things themselves. And three, that they can then pass them on to somebody else. And that's three important words that you need to know as you go about creating disciples for Christ. It's see, do, teach. So in each of these areas, what I'm going to do is when I talk about creating ponds, first I'm going to sit down with the person who I'm mentoring, and I'm going to say, check this out. Here is how you recognize what a pond is in your life, and I'm going to show them how to perform that skill. And then what I want them to do is I want to see them do it themselves. But as we know, discipleship is about multiplication. It's about passing this on to others. It's about teaching others. And so the ultimate goal is to make sure that they can then teach this skill to somebody else. And that might come further on in the discipleship relationship, but you ultimately want to see them not only do the skill themselves, but teach it, pass it on to somebody else. And that might start with just practicing with you. They might be able to actually practice teaching that skill back to you, explaining it to you so that you can then perform it. So the milestone here is, can they fish? Do they have that skill? Have they achieved that? Because in discipleship, that is a major milestone. Can they qualify? Do they know when somebody is ready for discipleship? Do they know how to discern and recognize who those people are that are ready to take the next step with their relationship with Christ and others? So those are the milestones that we're going to look for all the way. And as I said, we don't want them to just see us perform these milestones. We want to actually get to them to the point where they are teaching these milestones to others. Now, as I said, there's a second stage of discipleship milestones. This is the first one, knowing how to actually perform these skills. Okay, so that's level one. Level two is pretty exciting, and here's what it is. Imagine with me for a moment that that the person who you have mentored goes on to mentor somebody else. We would call that first or second generation discipleship. That means not only have you discipled somebody, but you have actually discipled a disciple maker. And then if that person goes on to disciple somebody else, that's exponential multiplication. And that's what we want to see. So a milestone might be after you've already taught them all these skills, they've shown that they have the ability to do all these things, is they go on and they disciple somebody else. That's a milestone. First generation discipleship. And then so on and so forth. Second generation discipleship. Third generation discipleship. Now imagine that. Imagine if inside just a couple generations we had disciple makers who are making disciples who are making disciples. Right? That's where we want to get. So go out, start teaching these skills to other people, making sure that they achieve those milestones of being able to teach those to somebody else and make disciples on their own.